In this video, we'll discuss what moles indicate in face reading, as well as basic ideas to consider when assessing them. Enjoy.
In today's face reading tutorial, we're going to be discussing moles. A number of people have been asking about moles. What do we do about them? What do they mean? Is my life over? Are they lucky or unlucky? And we're going to jump into all that. I would love to give you a really straightforward answer with moles, but I can't. So I'm going to give you the best answer that I can, given what I know. Truth be told, when I was studying with Lillian Bridges and we were doing our sessions, she didn't talk about moles a lot. They didn't seem to be real prominent for her. They didn't seem to be a big deal. She didn't spend a lot of time on them. She said she would use the mole map, that is an image used in face reading. She would reference it, but it's not something she really put a ton of time into. And as such, it's not something I dove into deeply with her either. That said, I'm going to tell you what she said about them, and I'm also going to tell you the ways to think about it and to look at moles from a theoretical perspective, because in the end, that's what this stuff is based off of. You need to have rudimentary theory under your belt so you can decode symbolism and attempt to extract some kind of meaning relative to you and your life terrain. So, what Lillian had said to me about moles was that they were sort of a surplus of fire energy expressing on the face. You can think of a mole as a conglomeration of energy. So if we think about dominant features, big cheekbones, big nose, big forehead, big jaw, big mouth, this is where there is more mass and form on the face. And because of that, you want to take a look at that and think about that in relation to organ function and whatnot, and in terms of life metrics. So a mole is just that. If you think of it, the face, as a topographical roadmap of your life, a mole is basically some place that has a visual marker of more mass and more form. So when I was looking at the information, I was going online and I looked through Lillian's book, couldn't find really anything on moles, and I was going back through my notes. And there was a mole map that she did offer in her master face reading class. I can't share that image. The Lotus Institute requests that proprietary information is not circulated online, so I'm going to stick to that. But when you're seeing moles, this conglomeration of fire energy, it means it's dominant, it's being seen, and the layers to think about are the following. You want to think about the 5 elements first. Notice where the mole is on another person, on yourself, and identify the geography first. What region is it in? Is it in a wood area, a fire area? Is it in the metal area? Once you understand that, we'll use the cheek for an example. So the cheek is regulated by the lungs, which regulates the metal element, okay? When we understand these organ correspondences, it points to the 5-element relationship. Anyone can look up a 5-element wheel and look up Chinese medicine associations between the 5 elements and the organ systems. It's very easy to do. I talk about this quite a bit in all of my videos, so you can also pick it up from me as well. But you want to pay attention to where it is. When the mole is there, there's a conglomeration of energy. The way the East looks at it is, well, this could be good or bad. There's no real way to know about if a mole is like auspicious or inauspicious. What you can do is say, okay, it's in my lung area. Do I have any lung problems? Do I have any respiratory trouble? Do I have anything in that sphere that I need to be paying attention to or thinking about? If the answer is no, it's like, great, one thing to check off the list and you can kind of move on. But then you might want to think, okay, so it's in a metal area of my face. The metal element relates to femininity. It relates to creativity. It relates to spirituality. It relates to order and cleanliness. Do I have a surplus of mass and form and energy in that area of my life? So this is just one example. This is just the metal element. But anywhere it shows up on the face, you want to think organ function. Check that out first. See if there's anything going on. And then check out the themes of that element in terms of lifestyle. And that will give you something to think about and to chew on in relation to your own life terrain. Now, the other layer you can look at it from is the age map. Now, you can go online and you can pull up these images of basically age markers that are found on the face. And so I'll talk about this in my video sometimes, where youth is found at the top of the head, middle age is in the middle of the face, and old age is at the bottom. And there is some nuance. When you look at the numbers, you're going to see some bigger numbers in random places. But the idea with all of this is that if we're seeing a mole that's showing up specifically near an age, that's something to pay attention to according to face reading theory. It's basically saying, well, at that age, there's more fat, there's more mass, there's more form, therefore there should be a little more energy in the big picture. And you have to kind of wait and assess and check it out. Or you may have already passed that age, right? The mole might be in an area where you've already passed that age. That was 10 years ago. And you can basically look back and say, yeah, there was quite a bit going on there, or that was a really shitty year, or that was a really amazing year. The point is, moles, and our features for that matter, can't explicitly define who you are. They can't. I advise people to treat moles a lot like life. In life, it's not so much about what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. Your features and your mole, if you have one, or moles, if you have them, is like that. It's like, okay, let's go with the theory says, well, that's a unlucky mole for you, or that's a very lucky mole for you. It's like, cool, okay. Now what? What do you do with that information? It's more about the decision you make in response to having the mole that really is where the rubber meets the road. So don't get hung up on, well, the mole means this, or it could mean, bad, or it's like, in the end, a lot of this stuff, when you're looking at moles online, it's like, it could mean this, it could mean that, it could mean this, it could mean that. And what that really tells me is they don't know. And that's okay. Most of us don't. Most of us are going through life not knowing what the hell we're doing. And we know some things, but a lot we don't. And in fields like this, there are some things that people just don't know. And there are probably some teachers that know a hell of a lot more than I do. But I do my best to be transparent. I'm not going to tell you things I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to be a master, because I'm not. I would say I have a developing expertise in these arts. I have been around a legitimate master. I'm not there yet. I hope to be one day. In any case, this is kind of my overview and take on moles. Don't read too much into them. If it bothers you, you can always have them removed. If they are favorable, great. And the last little tidbit I will say here before I sign off is about composition. The face is seen as a topographical roadmap of your life. And the other way it's talked about is that your face is a divine tapestry, basically a divine artwork. There's a theme, there's an idea in art about composition. Many of you have probably heard this. So we'll use the framing of this video. If you look at my head, I'm in the third, okay? I'm not directly in the middle. If you were to break this into thirds, you can see, let's see, there's a third right about there, and there's a third right about here, okay? And my head is kind of over to this third side. I'm not directly in the middle. One of the telltale rules that you want to adhere to in art is don't place objects, the central focal point of an art, right in the center. Why? Because the eye has no way to move through the canvas. So it's better to have things off center with some negative space off to one side. It allows the eye to relax. It allows the eye to sort of, do its own thing and then focus onto something. So in artwork, if we have like a branch sitting in a picture, right? They say it's better to have a branch in a third like this, where your eye will go up the branch and then maybe the shadows bring the eye back down, but your eye should be taken through the painting and not directly through the center. So what I found over the years is the people that have the best relationship with their moles is when they are not tap dead center. Not tap dead center in the forehead, not in the center of the nose, not in the center of the mouth or in the center of the lip or the center of the chin. People seem to have a problem with them when they are centralized on the face because they're too visually dominant. There's no composition to it. So usually what I've seen is the moles in the cultural context and at a personal level where people feel okay with them or they feel like they're a good thing, like what is called the beauty mark that some women have here, it's when it's off-center. It's when it's off-center and the mole is actually kind of a visual accent to the collective tapestry of the face. And that's something that's kind of personal, and we all have different gauges on how to assess composition. Some of us are better at it than others. But again, that's the last little component to think about is just the compositional placement of the mole on your face. If it's something that looks good to your eye and you like it and people have complimented it, it might be something you want to keep. And you can always have it removed too. But again, don't get too hung up on moles. It's not the epicenter of face reading theory, but these are the things that I know about them. So hopefully this helps. If you've got questions, please let me know. And as always, thanks for your time.